Good morning and welcome to Legally Speaking with Attorney Antoinette Osborne. Let me just move this. All right, so this program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osborne, at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. The office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. We also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies, that focuses on legal representation if you are seeking to buy or sell property in Jamaica, or if you're looking to wrap up an estate. So, good morning, everyone. This morning, I wanted to focus on the fee increase, the new fee increase that USCIS has announced. It takes effect April 1st. And with regards to the adjustment of status, it has increased tremendously. But before we reach there, I wanted to just go over just a few things that have changed. Why is it that they felt that there was a need for an increase, and fiscally how it's going to affect those of you who are filing? Morning, Michelle. All right, so the last time they had a fee increase was 2016, and that's little over 7 years ago. Since that time, we had COVID. Some people decided that they were going to just take retirement early. With the border crossers, there is an increase in the workload in order to clear the backlog. They have sought to hire additional officers and contractors to assist them to clear the backlog. And this is why you will see that they will need an increase. Now, what are the changes that have occurred? I'll tell you, some of these changes are going to affect people who are putting in application for benefits tremendously, and that is that it's going to really affect your pockets because these fees have increased substantially, right? So one of the good things is that they are now incorporating the biometric fee. So there is no longer a separate biometric fee. They are just going to include it in the price, right? They have also eliminated the $30 return check fee. I can't understand why they would eliminate that, because if the bank is bouncing a check, it's going to cost them, but that has been eliminated, right? There are separate filing fees for the adjustment of status. So before April 1st, you would have found that the application for advance parole, if you're doing an adjustment and you wanted to travel, that was included. With regard to the work permit, that fee prior to April 1st was included in your adjustment fee. However, this is now a piecemeal, and what you'll find is that having divided up the fees, you're going to later see in the broadcast how this has significantly impacted the cost for an adjustment of status. So for those of you who are looking to file your applications, I'm going to encourage you, if you can do so before April 1st, then hold on one second. If you can do so before April 1st, I'm going to encourage you to do so because, yeah. All right. So good morning, Renee. Good morning, Madge. And good morning, Flavia. All right. So it's going to become expensive. There are no two ways around. It's not cheap no more. Morning, Daphne. It is not cheap anymore, right? They're dividing up the fees. You have separate filing fees. Yeah, people are going to really have to dig deep in their pockets. But everything has gone up. So how could we not expect USCIS to increase their fees? You go in the supermarket, even water, what you could have gotten for 99 cents pre-COVID, it's now the cheapest water is like $2 something. Yeah, and I'm referring to the gallon size. So some prices in the supermarket have gone up by 100%, right? And this is an agency where 95% of their fees comes from the application and the other 5% comes from the government. So it's nearly like the post office. It's a fee-based government entity where the fees they collect support the agencies. Yeah. So what you'll find also is they're also revising some of the processing times with the increased fees. But one of the difficulty with the premium processing times that they are revising, right, is that they are now moving it from calendar days to business days. And anyone who knows the difference between business days is Monday through Friday, calendar days is the 7 days of the week. So if they're moving this with their processing times, right? You're revising the premium processing times to move from calendar days to business days. In effect, that premium processing is going to take longer. Because once you move something from calendar days to business days, you are cutting out Saturdays and Sundays in any of your processing times. And this is going to slow up things, right? Now, for people who like to, you pay with your credit card, and when you pay with your credit card, you like to go back and you like to dispute the charge. Immigration has now revised it because let's get real. Some people will make the payment with a credit card, and then the person who you get as a spouse is not who you want, or the relative that you file for piss you off. So here you go now with the credit card company because you want back your money, right? Because you know immigration is not going to give you the money. So you call the credit card company, and here it is that you are disputing the charge. Immigration is now saying that for these payments, are people who like to dispute, right? This payment now is not subject to you doing a chargeback. You're not going to be able to dispute it, right? So what's going to happen? All these forced refunds that you're seeking to do, after they have done their work and they have processed their application, if you are now bitter at the end and you decide that you don't want them to get the money and you want to call a credit card company and dispute it, you can no longer do so with the credit card payments, right? Everything now is at their discretion, whether or not you decide that you're paying it, you want to dispute it, it's up to them. So you don't have that luxury anymore to just call the credit card company and think that you're going to dispute the immigration fees and your credit card company is going to release it. And believe me, this is taking effect April 1st. And I can guarantee you this, all these forms, right? Especially the credit card processing fees. I can guarantee when you charge on a credit card, whether you're doing it in the paper format or you're doing it online, they are going to revise these forms to prevent you from disputing it. Everything now is at their discretion. So for people who at the end of the day become very bitter because the person who you thought you were filing for is in fact not the person who you got when either they get the papers or they landed in the country. That's not going to be your problem. You cannot look to seek to get back that money because you know immigration is not going to give you a refund for your bitter goods. Yeah. So some people sidetrack this and decide they're going to dispute it with the credit card company. This is not going to work out for you because you can no longer dispute this. Everything is at their discretion. And I'm going to remind you, you're dealing with government, and that discretion is not very broad in being favorable to you, right? All right, so the adoption process has been revised. One of the good things about this revision that's taking place on April 1st is that they have widened the fee exemptions. So for those of you who are just tuning in, good morning. This morning we're focusing on the increase in fees. Morning, June. Good morning, Zalita. Good morning, Max. Yeah. So what's happening is the fees are increasing. Don't forget to like the live. Don't forget to share the live with someone who you think may benefit from this information. But the fees are going up. Simple. And a lot of the latitudes that you had before, you're no longer going to have this, right? So, for example, if you send in a payment and it is dishonored by your bank, they are making their note. They don't care why it's dishonored. They don't care that, let's say, probably your bank account got shut down and the check you wrote bounced because could be some thief went into your account and your account got shut down. For them, any check that they are not able to collect on, the reason that they're putting is insufficient funds. That's it. They didn't get their monies, so it's insufficient funds. That's the reason that they attach to your file. And this is why I tell my clients, I don't like when you pay with cash. Yeah. I don't even like the credit cards, to be honest. Bring a money order because money orders, what you have to understand, is like cash. So once it is delivered, once it's within their possession, it's as if they have received cash. So I just think it's a negative connotation on your file that you're sending in monies and they don't care why the check didn't cash. Yeah. For them, it's going to be noted insufficient funds. That's why your payments did not go through. All right. Now, let's look at our fee exemptions. And I think this change was a good change, right? Because what they have expanded their fee exemptions to do is to widen the forms, and this is for a category of people who they have really suffered hardship. So we're talking, let's look at our T visas, which is the trafficking victims. I completely agree. I don't think that if you have been trafficked, and a lot of you are in your homes, you are comfortable, you have no idea what it is to be a person who has been a victim of sex trafficking. Yeah, these people, these trafficked victims, what is happening now is that they're not gonna have to pay for any of their fees. And I think this was a very positive move. I think it is a good move. They've been through hell, and a lot of them, when they're being trafficked, they don't even get to keep that money. It's the pimp who keeps that money. So for them to be able to, from the to be designated and be awarded the T visa, all the way up until they get the green card, that it's free for them. I completely, this is a blessing. One of the things that is also a positive move is for people who are victims of domestic violence. This is a bold move, and it is a move that is well deserving for people who have been victims of violence. Some of these victims are running for their lives. Yeah. And I would encourage anyone who is in a domestic violence relationship, get out. You are not doing your children, if you have kids, any great service by remaining in such a relationship. You're not helping yourself. Yeah. When you are in this form of relationship, you need to save yourself. You know, I have an aunt from St. Elizabeth. She said you put yourself first, second, and third. Whoever wants to come after, come after. And preservation of life is important. And for people who are in these type of relationships, you need to get out. And me personally, I'm very cross by nature. I have grown up in a domestic violence home, so I don't treat this thing lightly. And for people who are victims of domestic violence, come April 1st, you are filing your application for an adjustment of status. The application to be designated a victim of domestic violence and that ultimate green card and work permit application and your travel permission, it's free. This is like fantastic. So we have the T visas who are going to benefit from this. We have the domestic violence victims, and I believe we have the SIDGE as well. Yeah, this is like fantastic. So I'm just going over some of the forms, right? Now, what is even more important is for people who are claiming domestic violence and you're looking to remove the conditions on your green card. So you initially got your 2-year green card and you are now looking to get the 10-year card, and you're claiming to be the victim of a domestic violence relationship. You don't even have to pay the fee to remove the conditions come April 1st. This is a blessing, yeah. So some of the changes are really positive, and the focus seems to have been for anyone who is going through a real hardship, and for people where they really can't afford to find the funds. There has been a latitude to allow them to be able to apply. Money should not be the issue, especially when you need that work permit so you can feed your family. This is such a positive change. There are other changes too, but I'm not going to go over all the fee exemptions. um, I'm just looking at the ones that really will benefit our community. So for those of you where I have not mentioned your exemption, I'm really focusing on my community. So yeah. So we have the special immigrant juvenile. This is wonderful. And the people who are applying for travel permission and they're refugees, what is happening is that they are going to allow an exemption as well. And even if you have the green card and you are a refugee and you need a travel permission, they are actually allowing a waiver for these fees. It's fantastic. Now, what is a little bit a gray area for me, which I have to do more research into, they're saying current and former U.S. Armed Force members, including people who served honorably on an active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, they are also going to be exempted. Now, this is a gray area for me, because if you look now to join any branch of the military, you have to provide proof of legal status. So I'm not sure in what respects, unless there are special individuals who can serve. And I think at one point they were taking people when the whole Afghan war was at its height, and they were, I believe, allowing people who did not have status, but because they needed the translators, they were taking them. This is a reason I can see, but generally to join the military, you need papers. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to now go into the fees, right? So you can kind of have an idea as to, let's visualize this now. The fees are being increased. So we want to be able to determine, okay, how much is what? Because at the end of the day, it boils down to dollars and cents. Now, you can speak of the fluff, but when it's crunch time and we're at the juncture, you want to know, okay, realistically, how is this gonna affect me? What are the changes that are coming up? Because what people are focused on, how is this going to impact the pocket, right? So this is where we're going to go into the nuts and bolts of everything. So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. Don't forget to like the live. Don't forget to share the live. And we'd be very grateful if you subscribe as well. So I want to get into the increase in the fees. And if you have a question, you can also post it in the live. I will answer. You can also call, as I will take the call. And let me just verify. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so I just want to ensure. All right, so unfortunately, yes, I did have it on. All right. So for those of you who have your questions, you can also call in. I just realized I was not signed in, so you can call in and I can take your questions. So let's take a look at these list of fees. It's quite a bit, Some of the fees have changed and some of the immigration fees have increased significantly. And now I'm gonna go into the actual fees. So for those of you who, and I'm gonna premise this by saying, if you are filing your applications online, you get a discount of $50. But the caveat is not all applications can be filed online. So for those of you who are doing your online applications to replace your green card, the fee, and this is one of the few fees that went down. If you're looking to replace the green card, prior to April 1st, it's $540. However, commencing April 1st, this fee, if you file it online, is $415, right? So that's a significant decrease of $125. If you're doing the paper filing, right, it is now $465. Yeah. So yeah, it is a significant decrease. And what they are stating is we have to remember now that there's no more separate biometric fee, right? All right. Now, for those of you who are applying to get your replacement I-94, for anyone who came in, I believe it's after June 2013, the I-94 can be taken from the CBP website. I usually just Google I-94 and the CBP. You go to the page that allows you to take your I-94 online. It comes on the screen, you print it. However, there are still some people who, even after entering, you are not able to retrieve your I-94. And this is where you, in fact, have to apply to immigration to get that I-94. If you cannot retrieve your I-94 from the CBP website, you are going to have to apply to USCIS. And for them to convert the I-94 to an actual online application, this was a blessing, because a lot of people prior to June 2013, when you're being issued that white card, people, if you are moving from place to place, which often is the immigrant story, you're going to stay with this family member, it doesn't work out, you probably rent a place. Unfortunately, it happens that you can't afford a rent, you're bouncing from place to place, passports gets missing, and that your passport has a visa. Back in the day, they used to staple that white card in the passport. People wouldn't, touch it. I would encourage anyone who has an I-94, make a copy, leave it at a friend, a family member, somebody who you trust. But let's say you have to apply. If it is that you have to apply, that fee has moved from $445 to $560. So it has increased by $115. So if you're just tuning in, good morning, welcome. We are discussing the fee increases, which takes place on April 1st. As a reminder, if you need an appointment to call the office, you can call us at 718-502-9137. That is the same number this morning if it is that you wish to ask a question in the live. If you're a bit shy, you don't want to call in, you can also text your question. I will be able to respond, and you'd be texting it to 718-502-9137. All right, so let's continue with the fees. So we have the H-1B, where you have employers who are sponsoring their employees. That fee moved from $460 to $780. But if you are a small employer or a non-for-profit, that fee remained at $460. What is significant to me is there is such a shortage of agricultural workers in the United States, but the fee that is now being charged for the farmers who are petitioning for the agricultural workers, that moved from $460 to $1,090 for an essential part of. I just, it amazes me. Why would you increase this by $630? And anyone who has ever done farming or is close to the farming community, sometimes, crops are such that it's subject to the weather, subject to certain insects. I mean, why would you increase this for farmers by $630? That just made no sense to me. But the good thing is, for the small farmers, it went from $460 to $545. So it increased by $85. I just think, me personally, first of all, I'm so afraid of the food, right? Because what you find is people are just getting sick, and it doesn't matter which part of the United States they are, certain illnesses, are just increasing. And it has to be something that is common to everyone. So oftentimes where you see people are getting sick, and this is just my own conspiracy theory, it's because it could be the water, the food, or the air we breathe, right? You find something common regardless of race, color, creed, class, economics, right? And you have to start reading the labels on the food that you're buying. Most of these foods are GMO. What is that? Genetically modified food. So it's not just real food. Sometimes you have real food mixed with fake food, or just 100% fake, right? And something as the farmers, why would you even increase it by so much? It makes no sense to me. I personally I don't mess with with food. I like real food, right? I'm a person who I eat from the ground. So I really don't like this food in plastic and all of that. In any event, another sector that has really gotten a significant increase is the employers who take the H-2B workers. So their fees have moved from $460 for their petition, and it has gone up to $1,080. So like the hotel workers and so forth, right? So someone says, is there an increased fee for DACA renewals, and is it 6 months before the expiration date to send in the application? All right, so I'm gonna go over these applications because what has changed for you is the work permit. So I want you to focus on the work permit price when I reach to it, because that has changed, right? So for like the H-2B, the hotel workers, the theme park workers, and so forth. And the H-2B can take into account any sector where the employer is seeking really a temporary worker. Yeah. That fee has moved from $460 to $1,080. And if you are a small employer or a non-for-profit, it has moved from $460 to $540, so $80 increase. But for the big employer, they have an additional $620 to pay, making it a grand total for them to $1,080. Yeah. All right. So for those of you who are filing for your fiance, I really hope you don't get buyer's remorse, because that fee has also increased. And in order to file for a fiance, you have to be a U.S. citizen. Green card holders, you don't get this privilege, right? So this is a privilege that is only accorded to U.S. citizens. So you want to file for the fiance starting April 1st. That fee has moved from $535 to $675. All right. So with the increase in fees, if you're just joining us, we are focusing on the increase in immigration fees starting April 1st of this year, right? They have now piecemealed the different type of fees. And because of this, it has impacted the cost for the applications significantly. It's not cheap no more. Not that it was really cheap in the first instance. So for the fiancés, you're moving from $535 to $675, which is $140 increase. Please ensure you don't get buyer's remorse, right? Now, let's look at the I-130. The I-130, remember, we're piecemealing. And towards the end of this video, what I will do is give you the complete costs, just a summary for your adjustments of status. And you're going to see the significant difference between filing before April 1st and filing after April 1st. So the I-130s have now moved from $535 to $625 if you file online. If you're doing your paper filing, which is what most people do, you're moving from $535 to $675. Always bear in mind, if you are able to file online, you get a $50 discount in doing so. But most people file paper. So generally, you're looking at $675, no longer $535. So there's an increase of $140, right? For those of you who are seeking to engage in travel permission, usually this used to be a part of your entire adjustment of status fees. They're piecemealing it now. So it's not included, it's a separate fee. And the fee is $630, right? If you are a refugee seeking a travel document, that moved from $135 to $165, a $30 difference. Not bad, right? Because we know the refugees are struggling. People are running from their home countries and they're seeking a better life, right? So let's move on to if it is that you need travel document and it's a carrier documentation because you went outside you went outside the United States, you're in a foreign country, and let's say your green card, um you can't find it, or your ability to return because your documents have expired, the airline is not going to allow you on the plane. Let's get real. So what's going to happen is you're going to be in that foreign country and you have to apply for the carrier documentation, right? Where you fill out the form, you pay the necessary fee, and then you go to the US Embassy and they give you a stamp in your passport. Now, the application is still the same. So that's good, right? The I-140 is a petition for the alien workers that just went up by $15, right? So that's not too bad. Let's look at application for permission to reapply for admission after deportation or removal. So what you'd find is for people who have been deported and they have the ability to come back, they generally have to file for this application, yeah, and a waiver, right? So total combined price for that used to be $930 before April 1st. After April 1st, this has gone back up to $1,175. It's increased by $245. Let's take a look at your appeals. Your I-130 got denied, right? And you wish to appeal. I'm sorry, you wish to do a motion to reopen. So that appeal fee is now $800. So this is why on the first run, I'm going to encourage you, have your documentation, because when it is that you're making your application and your application unfortunately has no merit, it's frivolous, it is incomplete, what you will find is your case will get denied. You have to watch it. What I find a lot is happening is people have not been getting, and this has even happened to my client. He didn't get the notice, I didn't get the notice, right? And I find that very strange. And people have been complaining. How is it if one of the main purposes of having an attorney is you get the mail and the attorney gets the mail? I find it very odd where it is alleged, because I'm going to put it on alleged, that a notice goes out and neither you nor the attorney gets it. And what happens, unfortunately, is when you have such a requisition, generally you get 87 days. That's the maximum time you can respond. If you fail to respond during this time, your case is going to get denied for abandonment. So here it is now. You're going to be after filing. Let's say your adjustment gets denied, right? You're going to have to be filing this appeal. It's now $800. Yeah. All right. Let's look at the widow petitions, right? Special immigrant form, the widow's petition. That's usually $435. It's no, and this is for people who are filing for the religious visas. If you're just tuning in, we are just going over the fees this morning. I am going to try to finish by 10 o'clock. I know this is your Sunday morning. If you have a question, you can always put it in the live. I will respond. You can also text your question, but the reason I want to focus on this fee increase is you have until April 1st to get your house in order before these prices take effect and you really get hit. And towards the end of the program, you're going to see how this fee increase, it's for some applications, it is astronomical. And for some people, they're not just filing for one person. You know, they may be filing for 2, 3 people. This is not a cheap process. So try and meet this April 1st deadline. So you don't have to get hit hard with these fees. This is not cheap anymore. Not that it was cheap in the first place. All right. Now, your applications to adjust. Yeah? Okay, so Nicholas says Pauline has a question. Let me see Pauline question. My son, Pauline is saying, my son will be in the US for 5 years come August 1 this year. Can he file for citizenship before that date? You could file for citizenship 3 months. And I say 3 months, don't do 6 months. I say 3 months because it's the dates are no longer taking long depending on your jurisdiction. And some people have been called within that 3-4 months. So I would say the maximum time prior to filing before that 5th year anniversary, 3 months. Don't do it earlier than 3 months before the 5 years. All right. Let us look at, and anyone filing for citizenship, you have to be 18 and older to apply for citizenship. Now let's look at the big one, because this is common to everybody applying for the green card, right? So we're trying to see what's the cost. And this is just the fee for that form, right? So for your application to register permanent residence, this has moved from 1,225 to 1,445. And this is just for this form. If the child is under 14, it moved from 750 to 950. So for the adults, it increased by 215. For the children, it increased by 200. All right. For people who are looking to extend or change their status, they want to know the fees. This is now, it has moved from $370 to $420. Yes, I went up by $50. Not that bad, right? And that's if you're filing online. If you're doing a paper filing, right? You know, paper you can touch, it's now $470. So it increased to $100, right? Now, let me see. I think I see that Max has a question. Let me see if I can see Max's question. Will these fees affect a child when the parents are waiting for approval from USCIS on the VAWA? All right. So earlier I had stated that with the domestic violence, they are saying that the fees for the VAWA applicants are going to be waived. It did not speak, unless that child is filing directly as a victim of domestic violence, that child will, their fees will be waived because they are a VAWA applicant. If it is that they are a derivative, I anticipate by April 1st, we'll get further clarification whether the derivatives are also included in that, but definitely the main applicant doesn't pay a dime. All right, so let's take a look at, for someone who is seeking to petition to classify an orphan as an immediate relative, that fee went up from $775 to $920, right? So it increased by $145. And I'll tell you this, the fees that I'm telling you, some of the fees that were initially requested, USCIS has requested higher fees for some of these fees. Okay. All right. So let us continue. So this morning we are focusing on a fee increase, which USCIS is looking to, and it's going to take place on April 1st. Initially, within the last 7 years, they did try to get a fee increase and it was shut down. But we have to be realistic. Everything everything now has gone up. This is just inflation right now. You can't expect the food gone up, the utilities gone up, rents. Don't forget it. Rents in New York are astronomical. The housing market, I sincerely believe, is overpriced. The rents are overpriced. Everywhere you're looking, you're seeing buildings going up. The question is, are there going to be any affordable housing for New York State people? Who knows? But then nationwide and worldwide, everything has increased. How could we not expect USCIS to increase their fees? We have to be practical. Yeah. And it's just the order of the day. The fees definitely were going to go up. All right. So let's look at the waiver. When you go and let's say you go to the interview and the officer catch you, say that you lie, and he needs a waiver for misrepresentation. Your immigration history has a lot of non-truths. Yeah, so you need a waiver. You may need a waiver for your criminal record. You may be inadmissible and you need a waiver for health-related grounds. There may be different reasons you need a waiver. That fee is moving from 930 to 1,050. So it went up by 120. Everything is going up. Yeah. Now there's another type of waiver which was expanded by the Obama administration, which is an unlawful presence waiver. For those of you who are not able to provide proof of your entry, that is, you cannot show that you were admitted or you were paroled into the United States, you are required to interview outside the United States, right? Because you're not admitted or paroled, so you can't adjust. It's a requirement to adjust. So you need what is called a provisional waiver. That waiver has moved from $630 to $795. So this is an increase of $165. Yeah? It gone up. What can I tell you? All right, so let's take a look at some of the other fees. Morning, Amaraldo. All right, so let's look at the petition to remove condition. So this is where you're looking to move from the 2-year card to the 10-year card. Our focus this morning is on the increase in fees, which are taking place on April 1st, 2024. I am going to encourage anyone who has an application to submit. Do this before April 1st. These fees with regards to some of your applications are astronomical. Yeah? Morning, sunshine. Now, the petition to remove the condition, for those of you who you're doing your family base, you're moving from the 2-year to the 10-year because you got the green card through marriage, because of the whole Marriage Fraud Act. They want to ensure you're not using the person for the green card. There was a whole long line of petition of citizens going to Congress complaining that people are just marrying them for the card, and once they got the card, they were gone. So, as one officer said, I'm going to keep your client married to this person for some time. Yeah. What that means? She now approve the case right away, take a pen and So, for those of you who get the 2-year card, you go in and, you got favor. So the 2-year card came, right? Because the decision was made. And for those of you where it takes a little while for you to get the green card, don't stress yourself, because the processing is taking so long on that marriage base. When the card actually comes, you get a 10-year card. So for those of you who got the 2-year card, and whether you got it based on a spouse or as an investor, okay. So to remove the condition now, it's $750. That has moved from $680 to $750, right? They initially wanted $1,195. All right. The work permits, if you're filing your work permit online, it is $470. So for the person who asks about the DACA, you're paying for the work permit. It is no longer $410 if you file online. It is actually $470, and if you do the paper filing, it's $520. So these applications, yeah, it not cheap, and that's why don't these applications that has no merit, yeah, be very careful. Not only are you wasting monies, but the negative history that you create on your immigration filing, it makes no sense. You're creating you yourself are creating a negative connotation on your own record. Yeah. All right. So the work permit has moved from basically, because most people do the paper filing. Let's get real. Now everybody want to go online, and I'll never forget, one of my colleagues asked me to assist her by just covering a case for her. And the application was in fact filed online, and there was an error in the application that was filed, because I think he had filed it himself. Then he came to her and he realized he needed representation at the interview. And when we went to the interview, the officer was just on, but this is a misrepresentation. But he's physically in the office correcting the record. Yeah. Be very careful how you do your online applications, because one simple error can lead to a disaster. Me personally like paper, but no, it's just that for the paper filings, it's costing an extra $50. All right, so let's move now. And if you have a question, feel free to ask the question in the live. I think Zalita has a question, so let me just take a look. All right. Zalita says, how can a Jamaican who is a green card holder do a name change to her stepfather's last name? Is it that, Zalita, is it that you want to take your stepfather's last name? If you're doing it in Jamaica, you'd have to do what is called a deed poll, or you can do it here by making an application in court for a name change order. All right, so we're just going through this morning, and I'm trying to do this quickly so I don't take up a lot of your Sunday. This morning, we want to focus on the increase in USCICs, which are taking place April 1st. So if you have your applications to submit, I'm going to encourage you, do so before April 1st. By the time we get to the end of the program and I go over these adjustment of status fees, you're going to see the reason why you need to get this in before April 1st. All right. For people who are looking to do the application on an approved petition, for example, you may have chosen to adjust your status. That's what you chose to do. But then you realize you're not eligible to adjust your status, right? So you need consular processing where you have to go through the embassy. It's not easy to switch. And one of the things is you have to pay that fee. It's easier if you had chosen consular processing and you're eligible for an adjustment, you can easily switch. But when you're looking and you have chosen an adjustment and you want to go through the embassy because you realize that, look, I'm not eligible for an adjustment, I have to go to the embassy. You have to take an additional step. And for that application, it has moved from 465 to 590. And let me tell you, they were asking for more money for this form. Okay. For the investor now who is seeking to remove their condition. You're an investor, so you're supposed to have monies. There's no empathy for you, right? To get this visa anyway, you really have to be top shelf. So to remove the condition on your investor visa, this has moved from $3,750 to $9,525. A whole increase of $5,775. Yeah. So for those investors who are looking to remove that condition, they have to dig deep. They're nearly spending $10,000, and that fee is $9,525. Yeah. All right. Now, let's see. I'm not going to go through all the fees because, as you know, there are several applications that can be made to immigration. I'm just focusing on the fees this morning that I deem relevant to my community, and I am providing them with the fees that I think are most likely to impact their pockets, right? This information can be found on USCIS website. I'm just providing further clarification to my viewers this morning because I want you to understand the seriousness of this in terms of this is fiscally, this is going to affect you. Yeah. All right. So let's look at, for those of you who you went to your citizenship interview and you got a denial and you want to request a hearing, right? It's not called an appeal, it's a call a request you're doing a request for hearing on a decision on a naturalization interview. That fee has moved from $700 to $780. Not much. You know, they wanted $830. Like I said, most of these fees, they wanted way more money than what they actually received. So let me see something here. Okay, so Stephanie asks if the citizenship went up. Come into that, Stephanie, because of course it did, right? Oh, Sunshine asked, my friend who lives legally in Canada for years had her green card at one time years ago, but lost it because she was spending too much time in Canada. She wants to know how she can get a green card. If she needs to get back a green card, she needs somebody to be able to file for her, right? And thanks, Amarildo, for telling them to like and share the live. All right. No, Zalita says it's not me. Yes, Zalita. Everybody here is asking for a friend. And I probably need to quote that. Yeah? All right. So, N400. So, for the person who just asked about the citizenship, and I believe that was Steffi, of course the citizenship is going to go up. You think they're going to increase fees and not increase it for people who are filing for citizenship? Absolutely. So, but the good thing is it did not go up by much. Yeah. If you are filing online, right, it is $710. That's not bad. Not bad at all, right? So the online filing went up and the paper filing, the good thing about the paper filing, it went down. So it actually went down by $15 because it used to be $725. So I take it that decrease in the filing fee by $15 is to encourage the applicants to file for their citizenship. This is absolutely an election year. So that $15, you can certify mail your package to immigration. Yeah, if you're doing the paper filing. So the new fees starting April 1st for the citizenship is 710, right? So therefore, and then this doesn't matter whether you're filing online or the paper filing is a bit different. The paper filing is 760. I'm sorry. So let's look at this. The online filing is 710 when you file online. So it never got down. Never got down at all. I was looking at the online. You're filing online, it's 710, right? So that has decreased by 15 if you're filing online. This is not an application I would encourage filing online if there are errors in your application. You get the wrong officer. Filing a paper filing, it's $760. So it increased by $35. Not bad. Yeah? Let's think about 35. 35 is not bad. Absolutely not. All right. So the new fees to file for that citizenship moved from $725 if you're doing paper filing. It's $760. And if it is that you are doing it online, it is $710. That's not bad at all compared to like things like the investor visa. Okay, so if it is that you have lost your naturalization certificate, and a client, the gentleman told me he applied for this doggone certificate 3 times, and he became so frustrated. I can't remember what happened to his application, but anyway, he came to the office, we applied, he got it, thank God. The fees for this. The application, online filing, it went down if you file for this online. It moved from $555 to $505. Whilst if you're doing the paper filing, the fee has not changed. Yeah? So we have some grace there, right? Okay. For those of you where your children are citizens, where they derive that citizenship from you, yeah, that application for the certificate of citizenship, it has moved from 1,170 if you file online, from 1,170 to 1,335. And if you do a paper filing, it is 1,385. All right. So let's take a look at this now. So for those of you where your relatives are in fact coming from overseas, anyone who is consular processing someone, you would have realized that after they do the interview, there is a final fee that is paid for the green card. And this is something that came about in the last few years because I believe immigration just realized it's expensive to be printing these green cards. So that fee used to be $220, right? And because I have some clients that just want to pay up the fees. No, everything is I cannot guarantee, because I'm not Jesus Christ. I guarantee nothing. I just tell my clients I will use my best efforts to assist them in their application. So that last fee that they usually pay after they've come from the embassy is $220. And what is just ridiculous is when these files move from NVC to the embassy, you have such a hard time dealing with the embassy. Yeah? Like, very hard. I think it was Trinidad, the embassy in Trinidad was a little bit responsive. But you see, Kingston, Haiti, oh God, we can't remember all of them now. Problem. All right. So that fee has now moved to $235. Yeah. Okay. One very tough embassy too is Lagos. Yeah, man. Like, them just they might dig for fraud. Like, what? All right. $235. So after your relatives have gone to their interviews at the US Embassy, what you'll find is they will get the information to pay online, and they don't even give the attorney this. It is the applicant who gets this information, right? And it's as if they want them to do this. A lot of people, they just to even deal with these forms online, it's challenging for them, you know. But we don't get notification, and it is the client who gets the information, and the fee to do so has moved from 220 to 235. All right. So, I mean, those are the pertinent fees. Like I said, there are several fees that are out there. And now we want to move to what's going to cost you to do your adjustment. But before doing so, I see that we have additional questions. So, June asked, what if the green card expired? And that June, that fee is now, that's one of the first fees I dealt with. You're probably not here at the time that I discussed it, but it is $465. So yeah. All right. Now, Salita said, I'm going to speak with the young lady. Depending on what she says, I'll make an appointment to take her in. All right. That's fine, Salita. So Sunshine says, oh, she's speaking to Amarildo. All right. Now, what is it? Typically, THC, the psychoactive component of marijuana, is detectable for up to 90 days in here, anywhere between 1 day to a month in urine, depending how often used, and 24 hours in saliva, 12 hours for blood. So obviously, you know that Sunshine, our medical background. What a way shall the information handy. All right, so it is, wow, it's 10:10. I'm gonna go fast now because I know it's Sunday, you have your stuff to do. So let's look at the cost, the new cost starting April 1st for the green card application, which would involve the majority of filers. This is not applicable to everyone. And let me just say this disclaimer. This is dependent on your situation. But I'll tell you, the typical filer is going to get hit with this. So let's go. For the paper filers, we usually pay $1,760, right? This fee, and this would have included your travel document. This would have also included your work permit. Okay. For the family-based green card filers, you are now looking at, and this is without the travel document, right? You file in paper, and this is for adults. $2,635. And if it is that you need travel permission, you are looking at $3,265. So let's recap. We're moving from on a family-based petition that generally would cost the average person $1,760. If you want to include all the wrappings, so you have your work permit, you have your travel permission, It's 3,265. Let me take this call. Caller, you're on the air, love. Hello? All right, so I disconnected. I wasn't hearing anything. All right. So you see that fee? You want travel, you want work permit, you want everything. You know, you're in the supermarket, you just grabbing until you reach the counter. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Miss. I want to talk to you out here. I don't want you to get on the station more. I don't know what happened.
Right. So remember, we are no longer on the station. We're on YouTube. On Sundays at 9 o'clock, love. I'll send you the link.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, because I gotta talk to you about something in Jamaica and New York. I gotta talk to you.
Okay, darling. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh Lord, I think I had put it on. Did I put it on my Facebook that we are no longer? I used to announce it on the radio prior to coming off because the station changed and it's now a Latin Christian station. So everyone is aware that we are no longer on WVIP 93.5 FM. So this is why we're here on YouTube. All right, what's on the see the price, do? Want to see it? I think people are going to be bare bones. You have to apply for the work permit because without the work permit, you can't get your social security number. So that's a given. But I mean, the travel authorization right now to me is discretionary because the 2,635 alone is a lot, and then I'm gonna add another 630 to get travel permission to be 3,265. That's a lot. Me personally, I'm not too sure about applying. I could apply for the travel permission later, depending on my circumstances. But if you want everything in your bag, such as to include both the work permit and travel permission, you're looking at 3,265. Without the travel permission, it's 2,635. Choice is yours. If you are under 14 years old, it is 2,145 without the travel permission. If that child needs to travel, you're looking at an additional 630. So it's 2,775. All right, so that's it for today. And thank you for joining us and in our discussion of the proposed, which have now been authorized fee increase taking effect April 1st, 2024. My take on this, if you have an application to submit, do this before April 1st. Have a blessed Sunday and enjoy your week.